when things fucking change and you didn't do anything and they just change because they feel like it. Hi, everybody.
He's not wrong! He's not wrong, folks. He's not wrong. I realise I haven't even done a sound check. I was running late today, so I've done nothing. There you go. But welcome, folks. Welcome to Wobbly Player Syndrome, a podcast about Warhammer 40k plus other bits. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the other Mark here. And we are here going to talk about stuff. It's exciting. I was going to say something. It was going to be... Oh, it's episode 75. That's what I was going to say. And it's called I Am the Law. So you're going to have fun. Oh, no. And apparently Discord has added a new soundboard. So this is going to be interesting. But who have we got here to make it interesting? Well, we've got these three anyway. We have Michael.
Hey.
We have Safe for Work Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Not Safe for Mark is back.
Yeah, this time for a little bit.
And of course I'm here as well. Greg, you can call me Al. Welcome everyone. How you going? No, we're not singing along because we don't want to get that.
I didn't vocalise. It was all sub-vocalisations.
Trying very hard.
No strikes. No strikes.
It's alright, we were all bopping away before. It was beautiful. Yeah. So everyone's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad.
Alright, but that's work.
Trying to catch up on painting.
Wow, we can talk about that in hobby progress and talk about all the 40k you've painted. So much 40k you've painted. Today's episode, this month's episode, is looking at the lore of the game. Oh, excuse me, of 40k that we all know and love. Put up with. We're not going to go into details about the lore. We're going to talk about the impact of the lore in the game and what it means to us. How it personally pierces our heart, makes us cry at night when they change things, like making them gold instead of silver.
I thought it was the price that made us cry.
Podcast.
But before we get to the meat of the podcast, we will get through our regular stuff, which will probably be short because we don't have any battle reports to this month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
We had the Underworld ones, but it's not really hard to do a battle report from those fellas.
We tried, it just kind of didn't happen.
Yeah. Stupid people getting sick. Yeah. Getting that.
Things do happen.
It does. I don't like it. I feel like I'm really loud, and you guys are not. So I'll be mucking around with the sound, which would be really great when you listen to the recording. Listen to the recording. Right, so let's get on with the normal stuff, and I'll stop talking because everybody likes that better. Hang on, bastards. We'll get on to new releases with Radio Mike.
Yeah, so, there's been, a lot more than I thought since the last one. There was a whole lot of made-to-order. I think they've just gone up, with a made-to-order for 40k terrain, actually, which I'm kind of tempted by, because you can get the Void Shield generator, which is cool and only occasionally seems to bloody show up. Also the Subcloister, the Storage Fane, the Plasmic Regulators, and the Conservators, and all that shit. The Battle Zone Mechanicus, Furnace, and the Incinerator, and the Stacks, and the Hemotrope Reactors. But that's kind of cool if you want to pick up some, old, out-of-production terrain, which I've been known to do. Pick up the ones I'm missing, that kind of stuff. And before that, the Chaos Marines came out.
Oh,
so
yes.
we had, Codex Chaos Marines.
They're still on pre-order at the time of this recording. It's a 2-week pre-order.
Oh, yes, you're right. So yeah, they came up for pre-order last week, yeah?
Yeah, and sold out within minutes.
As you do, perish the thought that you produce enough of something for people to actually buy it.
You got to keep the scammers busy somehow.
That's true. It is one thing I do like about the fucking made-to-order. You can just buy it. Unless, of course, the website shits a fucking brick, doesn't actually process your order, and doesn't fucking tell you until after the made-to-order ends. And no, I'm not bitter about those Bretonians I missed. Thank you, Games Workshop.
You hide that well.
Never ever would have thought you were bitter at all.
Not remotely bitter.
No. Back away.
That's just the coffee speaking. So there was the battle force, Veterans of the Long War, the Dread Talons battle force, the Combat Patrol, Cultist Firebrand, the data sheets, and the dice, as you do.
Oh,
I think
yeah. So that Firebrand guy, the cultist with the flamethrower, you can buy on his own for the same price as buying the unit. That guy?
nice. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. On his own, or buy the unit for the same price.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. I mean, it's like when they release things that were in like the board games and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I bought fucking what was it, the Arena of Death game or whatever it was they had, because it had like 4 Age of Sigmar characters that were like over $50 each, and it cost like $60 or $70.
Yeah.
I was like, that's crazy that those, at that kind of price point.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was. I think at the same time we had the made to order for all the Tau bullshit. So you could get the Tau, the Tide Wall, and the shoulder pads, and Onvar and Ornshi and Long Strike, and I think they also had Captain Badrock and Zagstruck from the Orcs.
They did, because they're no longer in the Codex.
Yeah. And I think it was before that we had the release with Codex Tau, all of that new Kroot bullshit, the Lone Spear, the War Shaper, the Trail Shaper, the Flesh Shaper, the Rider, the Rampages, the Carnivores, the Hounds.
Yeah, they all went
the Combat Patrol,
well.
the Dice Box, and the Data Cards, all that shit.
Feel the love for
and
Tau.
then before that, no one likes Tau. And before that, the made to order for the Orc Dreadnought, the Blood Axe Commandos, and the Knobs.
Oh, I've still got my
loves
Blood Axe Commandos. I've still got those
good.
ones. That's one of the first models I painted, those guys.
They're really fucking cool, eh?
Yeah.
Like, I've always liked Blood Axes.
Yeah, same.
If I was ever going to do Orcs, I would have so many Blood Axes. I love
Same, that would be fun.
them. I just love the idea of Orcs pretending to be Imperial Guard. It's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the lore. And before that, we had some Horus Heresy stuff. There was a Light Sentinel Squad, Basilisk, and Medusa box sets.
Yeah.
And I think they also announced in some previews the Gene Stealer cult stuff
Yep.
and the Sisters of Battle stuff.
Yes.
Shame Anto isn't here to talk about what he liked about the Sisters. I think he was excited by that, wasn't he?
He was excited that the new unit, which is the Canoness with jump pack and new jump pack minis, is the way he wanted to go for his sisters.
Nice. Are the fucking
Seraphim?
Blade Guard looking motherfuckers, are they new?
Oh, I
The
didn't.
sisters with shields and maces that are in that box set.
No, I think it's
I've never
just.
seen them before.
I think it's just the Canoness and the jumpy ones, or the new
Okay,
ones.
I thought.
The shield ones were the last release.
Oh, I must have missed when the Celestine Sacrosancts came out because I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't see those before.
You must have missed it. You blink. Yeah.
Oh. That's all right. Speaking of the lore, I recently saw some art of Sisters of Battle, and I was like, why has that sister got a black carapace? And someone was like, oh no, they do now. And I looked at the Sisters Repentia models, and yeah, they've got fucking black carapace plugs in their arms and
Right.
legs. And I was like, that's weird.
No, what
They
was
don't have a
weird
black carapace.
is what I heard. Why do they have a black carrot face? I was going, what is he talking about?
That's what I heard.
Just
Don't
saying,
worry.
you need a black carrot face to shoot down Germans.
I was very confused.
Just putting it out there, I heard it properly. I knew what he was on about.
Glad someone did.
Yeah, because I was very what?
And
Then you got upset they didn't have a black carrot face.
And I know I've been out of 40k for a bit, but I thought that's a new one. Carrot face. That's a new Imperial force.
And then, sadly, Radio Mike was cancelled in episode 75, going on a racist rant about carrots.
Vegetables. Oh dear. But yes, there was the preview. It just went past the weekend. I don't think anyone's surprised that it was the Sisters and Gene Stealer's Codex has been announced because we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
We knew they were the next books. Yeah.
That new Canoness looks cool. That Benefictus, the new Gene Stealer, looks cool. I have no idea if I'm going to crack out my Gene Stealers or not. I'm probably more likely to play the Votan, despite the Gene Stealers probably being a more effective army.
Well, who knows what they'll do? It's only look. There's only one new model for the Gene Stealers. That was it.
Yeah, it looked like there was one new model. If the Sacrosands weren't new, then it's one new model per army.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a bit lame.
Yeah. But now that the Sisters have been announced, 11th edition next week.
Although I've got to say, I'm kind of tempted to pick up.
As Imperial agents?
Have they got...
What the?
Oh right, no, it was the last time the Sisters came. Oh no, it was the World Eaters came out last time, and then it was New Codex. It was the Sisters before that. Oh man, I feel sorry for those World Eater players. Like I think they got to use their book for a month before.
Yeah, it was like, haha. Yeah.
Yeah, that was harsh.
Oof.
They're probably still just playing 9.
Oh, I think I just made him angrier. Because that's a smart idea.
Yeah, you got to summon Angry Ron.
Yes.
I don't think they can be angrier.
Well, I didn't hear much about the Gene Stealer cults, but I did hear that the Sisters only had 4 detachments in their book, where most books have been running more than 4, haven't they? I know Chaos had 8 detachments.
I mean,
thank you very much for the resub. I don't know why that's gone through normal speakers and not through my headphones. I saw this thing come up in front of me and went, I think I can hear something in the background. But yeah, we don't want any technical... Otherwise it's just not fun. Alright, so yeah, exciting news for Sisters and Gene Stealer cults. You can't hear me anymore? What? I didn't change anything.
Dwarf we were talking about, Grob Ring the Ring the Rob.
Oh yeah. There's
Is that better?
500 and Grombrind.
Yeah.
Can you not hear me?
That model looks really cool, eh?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and they've shoved an awesome lot. Fuck, I teach English, you can guess that. And they've chucked an awful lot of detail on what I'm expecting is not to be a huge model, and it looks pretty sick. It's just nice.
Yeah, it is a whole lot cool. We can see all that, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out how not to... Hold on one, folks.
The previous one, where it was just, this is the Slayer model. Oh, because there's a delay on the stream.
Am I back?
We've got sound. We've got sound.
I can't see you.
Yep.
Oh my god, I love
we can see
technology.
Yeah, you're back.
Welcome back, episode 75. Glad to be here. No issues whatsoever. You saw and heard nothing.
Literally.
Move on.
Well, he didn't apply the correct oils for the rite of activation.
Now you know why AdMac are on the bottom of the success rate.
I was going to say, for a second there, it was this.
Oh no. Oh no, I know. And I'm going to blame Isabel's sub. Yeah. But I'm back. You're scared now.
Well, you missed that. Was I was talking about the dwarf.
Yeah, we talked about the Grombrindle model.
Yep.
I don't know how much of that ended up recorded. Yeah, no, that was really funny, because you were just like, oh, Parista thought that there'd be technical difficulties, right?
Yeah, and then it just dropped. And then I don't have a be right back sort of interrupt, sort of screen just cut in front to stop for panic!
I see what happens when I come back after a long period of not being on the stream.
Let's get to hobby progress. God damn it, let's get to hobby progress. Hobby progress! Adam's on here and he had nothing. So I have to do something. I have something. I completed some Scarab Occult Terminators. And I also finished my second warband for Underworlds, the Sepulchral Guard.
God. Yep.
Sepulchral.
Close enough.
Not Sepultura, because that'd be much more fun anyway. So I did experimented with some stuff on the skeletons, because I couldn't tell you last time I painted skeletons, but I was happy how they came out.
Robes come out nice.
That was an
I've got
experiment.
Sepultura stuck in my head, god damn it.
Roots, bloody roots. It's good. It's good. So that's what I've been doing. But apart from that, studying and Nurgle got me. So, yeah. Well, Radio Mike, what has he been doing? That's not 40k!
Yeah, I got very distracted by a big pile of, like, Battletech stuff, so I started trying to paint some clanners. Although I did try to get back to my Berserks, and then I discovered I'd run out of blue, and I couldn't actually get any more work done on the Berserks, so I went back to starting to put paint onto Battletech stuff. Just because it's a cool little game. And they're pretty, they're little models that are interesting to paint, small units.
Oh, that was all? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. There's like,
When I
I
first...
did a little bit of work on the Berserks and a little bit of work on a bunch of Battletech stuff, and that's kind of it.
When I first saw your Volturn with his big axe and stuff, I just sort of caught my eye. I thought he had a rainbow axe. I went, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, that's just my eyes playing up on me. Anto's not here, but he did a thing too. He painted a immolator, and look at that picture work. No, there it is. It worked. He did the immolator. Thinking of Pistis, but he's not here. So we'll move on to. Hey, that's not 40k. Not safe for work. Mark's got stuff.
Yeah, well, as we've probably spoken about, I can't remember, fuck if I know. Taking a step away from 40k, really getting into Underworld. So, just working my way through the 27 warbands that I now have. We have our little steampunk dwarfs, Thunderic Profiteers, a whole bunch of high elves, Heidi Tooty things that are fucking useless in a battle, let me tell you. But having fun playing around with dry brushing and contrast paints for bases, I'm kind of getting the hang of it. Some of them I'm happy with, some of them ship me off. Hey, look at that, Rat Boys. I love Skaven. I think Skaven are cool.
Yep. Yeah,
So
that's a warband I would like to get myself.
Yeah, so they are hard to get, that warband. Yeah, a bunch of assassins, so going for the whole Nindri Black style. I thought for that one a bit of fun. My giant undersea elves, which were cool. If I had read the cards properly, I could have used them a lot better than what I did.
I didn't do very well with them either.
Yeah, that squid is a monster if we use him properly. Got to remember to use him properly next time. He's really cool. I think the next one, undead. So Nagash has rejected some undead, so just playing around with fleshy colours and dry brushing on those fellas. A little bit of fun with some stuff there, playing with electrical effects. Now, hopefully it's my next one, which is my favourite. Holy fuck, what did I do with it? Oh, yes, there's the bondage goat with the yellow crab claw. So, originally he's supposed to have mostly black, and I painted him up mostly black, and damn it, does he look like a gimp goat. It's just disgraceful the amount of bondage gear that thing had on him. So, chose not to go down that genre and picked a few other colours. But yeah, really enjoying painting the Underworld bands.
Nice. Very good. And we'll do all the battle reports now. That's done.
Oh, I do have the scores from our match when we played you, me, and Anto in our 3-person game.
Yep.
So we had 2 games. So Greg was riding with Fast Riders, which is a Stormcast group. Hexbane Hunters was Anthony, which is a group of mercenary hunters. And I was running with Undead Ghosts. In the end, that was after the 3 rounds. You got a win for 8 points. Anto 6, me on 5.
Yeah.
Second game was Anto had a go at his version of the Fast Riders, the Stormcasts. I picked some other Stormcasts, and you borrowed those guys with the giant squid. Anto got the points on that one with 9. I got 6, and you got 3. So, yeah, not too bad. Kind of tight scores, but could be worse. I played a game the other night. It was 24-12 to my 5. So,
Jesus.
yeah.
How
Yeah, I
did
know,
you
this
score that
bloke-
much?
He came one short of getting the maximum. So it was pretty impressive. He played his cards well.
Wow. I'm happy. My first game, I got to win. So yeah.
Yeah, and you played them well, and they look good.
And I
Thanks.
played an intro game of BattleTech.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I jumped around shooting someone in the arse with an AC-10. As you do.
We all hope that's
Right,
in game and not just real life.
I'm wondering where he's keeping the autocannons otherwise.
Yeah, Astro Boy style.
Yes, shooting people with AC-10s in BattleTech, not in Minecraft.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's go to a break and then we're going to talk about the stuff we want to talk about.
Jawohl.
Now, let's see if this works. We haven't done so well so far with technology, but here we go.
Where the use contrast is on these guys.
Welcome back.
So yeah, I know the feeling.
Welcome back to our unpaid break. Trying to think of the real word. Yeah, but that will do. Unpaid break. As a thank you. That's the word. Thank you. Words are fun. So let's talk about what we were here to talk about. That's right. Daisies.
The law!
I am the law! So, there's been a lot of things happening in the world of Warhammer 40k regarding the law. New units come out, which suddenly, that's always been there. The Canoness with a jetpack. That's always been there, right? Doesn't matter. I don't know where I'm going. I just thought, well, how much does the law actually impact the game itself? I know there's some people who are very passionate about the law. For myself, I've always been the gamer first, then the painter, and the law's quite low down in priority for me. I have got more into it. I am learning. I've got to say thank you to all the viewers on Hobby Night who are educating me. So hopefully they're telling me the truth. Otherwise I'm going to look like a dick. It's going to be great. But that's for me where the law is in a very quick shell. So we'll break it down into three parts. Personally, what does the law mean to you in the game and stuff like that? And then we'll talk about gameplay effect, and then we'll talk about where it is at the moment. So we do have one person who's been around since the Day of Dawn. Day of Dawn? Yeah, that'll do.
Dawn of time.
Yeah, we're going for Day of Dawn because Dawn of War. See how I worked that up? Nice one. Michael, you like the law.
I do like the law. I like it a lot. I've pretty much always been more into kind of the vibes of an army and the lore of the army than the actual effectiveness. I mean, fuck, I've been a Dark Angel player for 30 years and we've sucked for about 98% of the time. So, I'd want to be really into the lore for that.
Yeah, but you also, you know what's going on with the rest of the world of 40k as well. Well, you fooled me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been the kind of person who reads all of the codexes and reads all of the background lore, and I listen to audiobooks of the frickin' Dawn of Fire series in the car. Like, I just absorb a lot of shit.
See, he said Dawn. I was right.
Yeah, I was actually thinking when you said that, that's funny because that's the series I'm listening to right now. But yeah, like it always kind of influences me more than anything else, like the lore of the army. I'm terrible for sitting down when I do pick up a new army and being like, oh, which faction do I want to be though in that army? Like, there's these guys, but they're really into that, and I don't want to paint them in that plague company because I don't like the vibes of that plague company because their lore is shit. They've got really cool rules, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, so it does play a part with your hobby sort of side of things as well. So it comes into it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just live
And it's
everything
like,
by...
what color do I want to paint? As well has been a recent one. I was like, when I was looking at the Votan, I was like, I don't want to do another green or red or silver army. That's why my Votan are blue.
Yep.
Just made up a new bloody faction of Votan for them.
That works. There's nothing wrong with that. And they're right marks.
No, it's perfectly fine. That's one of the best things about the law has been that they always give you an out to do what you want rather than just, being a codex adherent.
So when I was playing 40k, playing with the Necrons, the idea, the background story of the law, the very basis overarching arc of the Necrons is what got me to pick them. That whole interesting story of they were there, they fought the old gods, they did this. That part of the law, yeah, absolutely loved it. But once it got into the finite details of these ones are here and that, this must be that colour and they hate those ones, I didn't give a shit about that. It was the overarching story that I really loved.
Yeah, that's fair. It plays a part in how you choose your army. The reason I picked Salamanders is because I like the forging part of that faction, where they forge their weapons, and so it gave me a dwarf sort of feel, because I always played dwarves, blacksmiths, and stuff like that in RPGs and stuff like that. They just sort of flowed on, and the fact I wasn't ever going to play blue Space Marines at the time, and yeah, but I've read the book since, only recently, and I love more of it, of the history behind it. But originally it was, I like that they're just dwarves in power armor. That was before Votan turned up. Okay.
Yeah, like when I read the Codex Angels of Death, I was like, oh man, going to be fucking Dark Angels. They're so cool. Like, because they had like the whole dark secret thing, and they had like this monastic roby vibe. And before that, I'd been painting the few models I'd picked up as Blood Angels. And I picked up the book because it was the Blood Angel book. And when I read the Dark Angel bit, I was like, okay, I'm changing now.
Typical chaos player. Sorry, I had something to go there. But go on, move on. Oh my god, I'm on fire.
Right. Actually,
sorry.
Speaking of lore and dwarves, that's why they're blue, my Votan, because I've painted them and based their lore on Karaz Akarak from Warhammer, the Dwarven faction.
Yeah.
That's why they're the Everpeak Miners Union, because they're from Everpeak, Karaz Akarak.
Never picked up on that. There you go.
Yeah.
Didn't play
Their
enough
symbol,
Fantasy.
when I have actually painted it on them, is the rune for Karaz Akarak.
There you go. Didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, like I said, dumb lore shit.
I played dwarves for fantasy, but yeah.
But
and
it's
I
like my
remember the language.
Stormcast.
Yeah.
My Stormcast are actually painted in the colours of the old Empire Reiksguard, because I decided that all of my Stormcast are the souls of the dead Reiksguard from the world that was, that followed Sigmar to the Age of Sigmar and got reborn as a special group of Stormcast. So
Nice.
they're all painted in the exact same colour scheme as my Reiksguard Knights.
Well,
That's
they're using a rewriting of the law to kind of introduce the, as I've been calling them, the Psycho Stormcast and Vermintide coming out now. It's like they're no longer Sigmar's super golden boys. They're slightly tarnished, so they come out with silver. And it's like, I love it. They've come up for an excuse for people who want to go.
That's what mine are. I saw that. I was like, those are just my guys. Because mine are in silver with gold trim and red cloaks.
Yeah.
You know?
That's all your idea, mate.
Yeah, and my favourite Stormcast, my one's in that Sotek green, which is, that greeny blue, that marbly green marble effect. So, yeah.
The one I try to do.
Yeah, the law's good, but I don't feel it should ever enforce you along the lines of how you paint and how you run it.
Well, I think it's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I talk about the personal part of the law and how it affects you.
But they've always given you an out. You've always had that... the Lost Legions, or you have, the make your own faction type stuff. And I think they've done a really, really good job over the last 30 years of cultivating that. Like like if you're a very rigid and you go, okay, this is my faction. I'm, I bleed Ultramarines or Blood Angels or Imperial Fists. Here's your stuff for that. And if you don't want to go on that, well, we got all of this stuff over here for you to, do whatever you want.
Yeah, and even like since the early days of 40k, they've always pushed the paint your shit however the fuck you want. This is all a guide. Do what you want. They're your models. They've always been very strong on that, and it annoys the shit out of me when people get uptight about it, about other people's models.
Yeah, you see it sometimes on forums that say, "Can I paint it this way?" So I'm going, paint it the fuck you want, however you want. Nobody's got the right to say no. Just go nuts. Yeah, it's weird. But no, you're right. They've always. Sorry, go on.
It's only annoying if it crosses over into gameplay problems. Like these are Space Wolves. Oh yeah, no, they're just they're Blood Angels, and they've got Blood Angel decals, and they're red, but they're Space Wolves. That's annoying.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But we'll get to the gameplay side of things. There are people out there. Like I remember when I started building my Imperial Guard, I did build a lore behind them as well and where they came from. So they weren't jungle fighters; they was urban fighters instead. So hence the blue and grey outfits instead of the green and stuff like that. I don't remember any of the history I made back then. That was back in second ed. So I know they got stuff. They do stuff, and they're blue. But for me, it was just
similar thing.
Yeah. I think it's great when you can get invested in that way. I know there's if anyone watching should look up Black Sword. He's got a whole chapter of Space Marines and very big history. I should find the link and publicly advertise him. But he's put a lot of effort into it, and it's a really great story behind how he's built it and stuff like that. So he's gone that extra step. I'm not just playing Blood Angels. I'm creating a chapter and building a whole history for it as well. I don't think I can do that now for any of my factions. I know my Drakari are not a standard faction, the Blinded Eye, Cult of the Blinded Eye, which is not a faction of any sort, but that's just how I built them.
When I was looking at building that Dark Admech back in the break, I had a whole set of lore behind that. They adapted some of the technology they found from down Tezzeret or some arc or whatever of Necron nature, and that started slowly corrupting them, which made them want to get more and more, and so turned them even more dark. And I set up my whole set of lore for it, and in my mind it gave me a good explanation of why I wanted to go down that line with the paint scheme and stuff that I did with it. So it worked for me.
I found Black Sword's link, so I'll put it up in chat. And the paintwork is beautiful as well. It's very good. And when I see him next, he better give me some money for all this publicity. Unpaid advertising.
Things for friends.
I actually did a similar thing with my Heresy chapter that I was doing, because at the time Oz30k had like a website for everyone who was involved anywhere in the Australian system of campaigns. And so every army got a section dedicated to them. So it's like, okay, this is the section for the second chapter, 2nd Battalion of the Dark Angels, who, every single character I ever fielded, I wrote up, this is his backstory, this is who the character is, this is like details of all the shit that's happened to him and all the battles I've done. And then he died and this guy took over. I had a lot of Praetors die. 'Cause I kept challenging fucking Primarchs and losing. So I had this really weird Terran-based Dark Angel battalion that was slowly getting crushed the fuck out.
It just reminded me, I remember putting a lot of effort into my dwarf characters for fantasy and stuff. Yeah, so I used all the because that was when they had the books with the runes in it and the alphabet in there, so you could create and stuff like that. And it was
You can make really cool, unique items using the rune magic.
Yeah,
it was sick.
Yeah, it was good times. Good times. Let's reminisce. Oh. So, just you're the Underworlds player. What is the lore regarding in what's going on in that part of the world?
Oh, jeez. So there's basically, I don't know how much anyone knows about Underworlds, but it originally started, it's like the Shadespire, which was the first season, was kind of a large city, kind of large area that was blocked off by Nagash from anyone and chucked into a space. So once you stepped into it, it's like a one-way door, and you got trapped in there. And there was a whole bunch of stories which were connected to the first 3 or 4 extra war bands and next 2 or 3 seasons that came out, and they were really quite connected. It's how people trying to escape have from Shadespire have suddenly gone deep around this way, or they've moved onto this one and they're trying to find it. And to the point where the latest warband, Zondaria, which is to do with a necromantic witch and her lycanthrope lover and her undead little troop, are digging around so she can find magical items in an attempt to turn him back to his human form. And it's all connected to the release of the new
that's
maps.
not Twilight, is it?
I think the story's better than Twilight ever hoped to be. But there's a little bit of lore that's associated with each of the war bands, and it just ties in ever so beautifully with the overarching story for each season, and each season proceeds nicely from the one before it. So it's there, but it doesn't force you to use it. It's just that little bit of an extra dig. You can say they've got nothing to do with each other if you wanted to. It's just a little bit of extra flavour.
Fair enough.
Like there's one called the Loon Court where one of the
Gobbos.
One of the little gobbos has drug fucked the rest of them on mushrooms, so they think they're all nobles or noble knights of a court trained around to solve these marvelous quests. They're all drug fucked beyond belief, and it's just a stupid little concept that works so wondrously.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
I was just going to say, you could use that so nicely to do your painting, your setup for it if you wanted to, the style that you play with it if you wanted to. It's not going to be an issue. It's just fun.
That illustrates one of the big strengths of lore, though, is that you will, when you've got compelling lore, it drags you into the setting more, and it gets you into the spirit of things a heck of a lot more. Whereas, like I dabbled in Infinity, and being the lore guy that I am, and I read all the books like Mike does, and I read it, and it was like reading a Wikipedia page on like the economic output of Slovakia and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like it was, it was like, I can read a heavy read, but this was a heavy.
That's what I like about the novels that are associated with Underworlds. They are well written, beautiful stories that actually got me interested in it. Even well after I'd been playing the game. It's like, yep, cool, I like it. That just adds extra detail. Love it. And I want more. The other group of guys that I play with, I was talking with one of them there, and we were saying how much we really would like there to at least be one series of short stories for each of the seasons. Just, a little bit of talk about the war bands that are in there, how they've gotten stuck, what their goal is, that type of thing. It just would be a little bit of fun.
Yeah. You reminded me 2 things. One of the reasons I played the Orcs as my first faction ever was their lore and how nuts they were and how they read their books was just crazy. The infighting, because at that time you had this clan was the Blood Axe Commandos and this one was the Blood Moon Knobs. But if you have them next to each other, they'll go, what are you looking at? And it'll just be a bit of infighting. I love that.
Good old animosity.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about it, and that's how I got into the Orcs side of things. And then the other story was a really good story, and we'll save it for later because I don't remember.
Old man syndrome.
Oh my god. I blame Mark on that one.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, take that, yeah.
Pick your act up.
I just really like how there's like a full spectrum of like how seriously you can take the lore, and how it can influence, how you collect your army. Like, you might go, oh well, I guess I should pick up that unit because the company that I'm building is supposed to have this many of that unit, so I'll pick up that unit.
Yeah, so that's leading in towards the gameplay side of things. We can start going down there because, depending on what you do, will influence how you can influence. Sorry, let's try that again. If you're not a competitive tournament player, you can be influenced by lore. Look, I play salamanders. Guess what I have a lot of? Flamers and
Fire.
melters. Yeah. Why? Because that's a salamander thing. Are they always effective on the battlefield? No. No, flamers aren't that great against heavily armoured stuff. But am I going to change? No, because it'd be unsalamander of me. Yeah.
And to be honest, flamers are just cool. Like, and yeah, you know, and these kind of lore elements do sort of feed your enjoyment of playing certain mechanics and stuff too. I mean, I have famously posted many times about missing vortex grenades.
Or any template weapons. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of these things don't do good things for you.
No.
No.
Yeah, some of them were a bit of a double-edged sword. It was always fun when the vortex grenade drifted back towards your own guys.
Yep. Yep. Alright, so how much does lore actually affect the gameplay of the game?
Well,
Not much.
not a huge. Well, I think in some instances it does play into some of the balancing that they do, because they do that, like, because I mean, you classic example, 8th came out and they sucked all of the flavor out of every faction, and it was right, here's your standard set, and everything played the same, and people howled from the rooftops about, you know, Blood Angels aren't Blood Angels, you know, all Marines are the same, you know, all of this stuff, and so I think it does have sort of a bit of effect there, but I mean, you know what I mean, like there's, I think it's a sort of a broad strokes thing, you know. Nobody is going to change the way they play because suddenly they retcon Dante's armor to be green instead of gold or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know, there's going to be somebody out there that is picketing out the front of GW over that. But, you know, it's not gonna. Nobody playing in the Vegas Open is going to give two shits.
Yeah.
So you also got to think about part of the thing that turned me off 40k for a while is when they started doing those. I can't remember the words. When they released an update, which was a book which had, you know, obviously a few updates, a few point values, a few time ups for the forces, but it was whole story.
Yeah, so like, what's the name? Psychic Awakening. And
yeah,
the supplements.
Yeah, that's the word. So, in my opinion, and I will happily be correct on it, that to me they were trying to try and use the lore to drive the future direction, not use the lore of the past to try and draw people in. They were trying to, this is what we want you all to do. This is our story. Go with it.
Yeah. So I'll pause you on that one just because after we talk about the gameplay, I want to come back to what you're saying is how they're driving that side of the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but you've hit it on the head, but not just too early. Come on, you've gone too early again.
Oh, what a surprise for me. Oh, well.
Outrageous. Think of baseball.
Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife.
Oh, she knows. Yeah, sorry, someone's talking about Judge Dredd in the chat because I worked out we're talking about I Am the Law and you've got the jumper on. A rabbit hole, yes. So Joker's just come on. I just want to point out because I know he's been building a heresy Dark Angels, but trying to fill out an entire, I don't know what they're called, Legion.
I mean, you can't really do a whole Legion, but you can make a battalion.
That'll do, battalion, yeah.
They do actually have like detailed Force Org structures in a bunch of the heresy books, so you can get really fucking into building exactly the way the command structure is written in the books. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go, Joke. Gave you a plug. Sorry, I'm just going to cough more. Speak amongst yourselves. I'm just going to mute myself.
No worries.
That's right.
But it's like, you know, exploring the BattleTech stuff has been really interesting from a lore perspective, because there's so much fucking detail in some of the books. Some of the source books get very, the production facilities of Luthien Arms Corp on this planet produce this many of this mech. So it's like, okay, if I want to play fucking House Marek, House Marek have a lot of fucking, what have House Marek got? They've got lots of archers, lots of awesomes, lots of crusaders. So it's like, these are the units that you could be taking if you want to build a lore accurate House Marek force from the year 3050.
Yeah.
Dumb detail that you can get into.
But Genero's point, right? We're talking about how if you wanted to play, how your codexes in the old 8th edition became very plain and very vanilla. There was no character between any sort of the factions. Now, what we have now is we'll take Space Marines because they've got the most non-chapter variants as well. But you've got the codex for Dark Angels. Yay! Got a lore behind it. There's how the Dark Angels play. Here's the detachment, how they play. Or you could play them like a normal Ultramarine detachment. You don't have to play them as a Dark Angel detachment. Which I find strange, but anyway. But you have that ability. Again, it's not forcing you to play to the law of how Dark Angels must play.
Like, is there any real specific bonus that you would get from it? If you don't want to, why should you have to?
Well, correct. I think that goes back to the other Mark's point, is where you can paint them and do whatever you want because they're giving you that out. So I might love the Dark Angels miniatures and I want to paint them the green with the robes and flame, but I don't actually like the lore behind it. I actually want to play more like just like a salamander, because everyone wants to play like a salamander. So
and then you can just say, okay, well they're they're an offshoot of the original salamander.
Well, you don't even have to do that. You can just paint them as Dark Angels and say, I'm playing them as a Firestorm detachment.
Speaking as like the really fucking crusty old Dark Angel player, that's why they're green. That's the basic idea for why they're green. They misprinted a model as a salamander, and they said it was a Dark Angel in one of the books, so they just changed the color of the chapter.
Oh, there you go.
That's funny.
Allegedly, that's what happened. Because there was like a couple of years where they kind of swapped between black and green, and then they became green. And allegedly it started because someone put a fucking green model in and mislabeled it.
That's funny.
There you go.
And even that can be part of your dumb stuff can be like that. It's like how I've got a red Ultramarine.
They're called Tech Marines.
Only one. We're calling him an Ultramarine. He's definitely not a Blood Angel with the Ultramarine's chucked on his shoulder. But,
Yeah. Well, he's now...
Cool.
He's been legendized. It must be cool.
That's Don Taicus. Don Taicus, he's a captain.
With a melter gun.
There you go. They're rambling. I'm just going to nod.
Nod, smile, don't look away.
And this is the thing, is that, you've had that opening to sort of add your own sort of stuff to the lore, really. You can very much, just throw the book out and do your own thing. You sort of have that spectrum where you can get right down into the nitty-gritty details or just disregard it entirely. And it's really kind of crazy how that's kind of happened. I'm not sure they entirely intended for it to be as good as it's kind of gotten.
With freedom of choice, the way to play sort of style.
Well, as I said, I mean they've always cultivated you to use your imagination and everything like that, and it's always been written to give you just enough to get the wheels in your brain turning. Because I mean, how many times have you sat down and you've read a piece of lore and
Twice.
It's given you just that little taste, and then your brain works on it and fills in all the gaps.
Yeah.
And that is a really important thing. and it's a really knife edge kind of thing to try and write to, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's almost the other way. It's become more restrictive than Games Workshop felt it was going to.
Why is that?
Because in the early days, they were very, very do your own fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know, you look at like when you go back to like the Space Crusade era and stuff like that. They're like, here's the thing about Blood Angel captains, and like one of the models was painted fucking white because the guy wanted to paint his captains white, and people just made up their own lore about it in the community and decided that was canon. And you see people now arguing about, oh well, Deathwing must be these colors and captains must be these colors because of this, and I'm like, yeah, but someone just made that up on the spot in like 1992. That was never intended to be this restrictive canon that thou shalt do.
It's all made up. Sorry.
All of it was made
All
up.
of it's made up.
Why?
And this is where
It's
some
not
of that
historical.
lore moving on, starting in 8th edition and probably even to the tail end of 7th, was starting to put those chains onto things.
Yeah.
Because you had them going, okay, well, all right, Bobby G is back and these other Primarchs are back now, and now we've got to kind of steer the lore through things.
Yeah.
Whereas previously, a lot of it was just left to us to fill in.
Yeah. I just want to go back to a comment in the chat. Dead again as just mentioning that if you were playing Dark Angels but decided to take the Firestorm detachment, yes, you would miss out on using certain strats that would be suited for Dark Angels. So you would have a penalty in that way. So, Mark, you also asked, what does that do to them? They wouldn't get Dark Angel specific stratagems available to them because they're not playing the Dark Angels detachment. Yeah, but it doesn't stop them from playing any other detachment. Yeah. Which I think one of the issues they also had with their tournaments where people would be bringing red Blood Angels and saying, I'm playing Space Wolves.
It was very frustrating to play against a Chaos army that were Space Wolf Terminators. It was a Space Wolf Wolfwing army that were all Chaos models.
Nice.
And they said, this is my Chaos Marine army. And it's like, that's clearly you're using them as Space Wolves, though.
Yeah, if I draw my Dracarian and say, these are Chaos Knights, I reckon there might be issues.
Yeah, I mean, at least they were Terminators being used as Terminators, but it was frustrating because you kept seeing the models and going, that's that.
Yeah.
And then it was different.
So now with the new way they do the detachments, I can take a Space Wolf army and say, they're Space Wolves, but I'm playing them as a Firestorm detachment. Yeah, which is not the Space Wolf detachment. I can't take my Salamanders and say I'm running them as a Dark Angel detachment because we're Imperial, not Chaos.
But I mean, some of that does feed into that issue that we've always had of the cheap, dodgy substitutions.
Yeah.
Not all of them are cheap.
Just confusing.
But they're all dodgy.
I didn't say that. I said they're not cheap all the time. Yeah. All right, so let me go to when you're building a list for your game, what drives you? Is it the lore? Is it the fluff? Or is it the... Now, for people who are watching and listening, we are not active tournament players. We play for the fun. So do we build lists for fluff, for lore, or win at all costs? I don't think anyone's in our group who plays win at all costs. I'm looking at you, Dead, again. What's the drive for you in regards to lore? How does that affect you building your army?
Oh, for me, it was what did I like the look of in the model that might have been remotely competitive. I didn't give a fuck about the lore. I just wanted to enjoy my models, play with my toys that I wanted to play with. I did not give one fat fuck about the lore.
Yeah.
But having played with Necrons, it wasn't really that much of a sticking point if I didn't follow along with what the law had said along. I didn't have the issues that were with some of the Imperial forces that Dedian was putting in for detachments and all that stuff. I could just put a bunch of fuckers there together, and it was no big issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really taken too much lore into account when it came to building a list for really anything. It was always like, what do I have? What would be cool and fun to play on any given day? There might be a little bit of, hey, you know, X person is bringing more tanks or more Terminators or something like that, and I might twiddle it around, but it was never okay, I have to have this many things because Codex says, you know, they have that.
Yeah, I might have made a theme every now and then, but it might have been a vehicular theme or a particular type of troop that I wanted to just lay down on the floor. Like, I wanted to play a spawn army one day. I remember I put down as many Necron warriors as I could legitimately get away with and just blanked the rest out and took the needy from not having those things there. I don't think I've ever seen anything in the lore about that, but it was cool to me.
Yeah. Michael?
I in the last couple of years, I've kind of had probably 3 kind of broad categories of army. There's either been, these are new models, and I want to use my new models.
Yeah.
Or the other one is, I feel like I want to take these guys, the whole army is going to come from the company that captain is from. So because I've sat down and spent many hours charting out a Force Org chart for all of the models that I have. So all of my Dark Angels are assigned to companies, and I know which ones are from which and which based on. I think about this too much.
Yeah, no
and
judgment
the other
here.
one is if I absolutely definitely want to fuck someone up, then I will build an army to fuck someone up. But I very rarely do that. Usually, it's one of the first 2.
Yeah.
Just warn us about when is the third one. For me, I think the Salamanders is the only one I really build a deliberate fluff of. Flamers. Yeah, my sergeants will have hand flamers. Are they useful? Fuck no. But, yeah, why give him a plasma pistol? It's a salamander. He needs a flamer. The rest, no, there's not a lot of fluff building. I know I did the witches, my Dracaria witches only, but that was just me going, I'm going to try and do something different. And am I paying for it? Absolutely. They are shit. But I did it. And it wasn't based on law. It was just, want to give it a go. But yeah.
My last couple of Apocalypse games were, this is the entire third company with some armoured support.
But you're right, I build themed lists, so a bit of fluff and stuff like that. So for the Imperial Guard, I might go, you know what, I'm going to go heavy infantry because I just love swarms, sorry. Yeah. Or no, I'm going to do all tanks. Sorry for the people on the other side, but that's just how I feel. It's not because of the law, just because I feel that's how I wake up that morning. Yeah. But of course, it is definitely, it's my new toy. He gets on the field first, and watch him die in turn 1.
Yeah, when I got a bunch of heresy bikers, I spent the next couple of months playing entirely Ravenwing armies. When I got a bunch of heresy tanks, I was playing entirely Ironwing armies.
Yeah, that works. I did build an ugly list the other day of 3 winged demon princes and 3 non-winged demon princes, plus Mortarion and bloat drones. That was it.
See, the other thing though is that would you have found those models and those setups as cool if you hadn't enjoyed the lore originally?
Not remotely.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah,
and this is the thing is that the lore is what sort of drags you to the side, and then you kind of come up with cool stuff to do with it, you know. And I guess that's part of the role that it plays is that it because as I said, I mean, GW could just sell the models. They don't have to have any of the books or any of the rules or anything really.
that's a good point. Yeah, well, I picked up Death Guard. That was 8th edition, wasn't it? That came out in the box set. It was 8th, and I'd had no interest in Death
Yes.
Guard. I think I must have gone halves to someone and gone, no, I'll take Death Guard. I want to cast something. Why not? Play them, read more about them. Oh, these guys are fucking awesome. And just read more about them and got more enjoyment. So I got the models first, then learnt about them.
Yeah.
So it was good. But yeah, Salamanders was lore first, read about them. Orcs. Well, orcs are orcs. How can you not love orcs?
Yeah, like I just feel like at its best, playing around with the lore helps you tap into that kind of childlike storytelling aspect of playing the game.
Yeah.
You're not just fucking rolling dice and pushing things around and trying to beat the other person at a luck-based dice rolling game. You're telling an interesting story about this weird ass fucking army you've built fighting against this other bullshit, and it makes it more enjoyable if you're into that kind of thing.
But you're right, because if you take away the lore, it literally, it's just a board game with dice and some miniatures on the table and see who can roll less ones.
Yeah, basically, and I mean, you look at all the battle reports that people do up that are these epic essays,
as seen on Facebook, RLG 40K,
and essentially they've been pushing plastic toys around and rolling dice all afternoon.
Yeah.
But you've created this narrative through the whole thing, and as I said, the lore sort of directly feeds that kind of content and stuff like that too.
So the lore has no direct impact on the game, but it gives the flavour to the game. Would that be?
Yeah. And it can become reciprocal too. Like a great example is my captain Sandalphon, who over the period of years playing with Nathan, I would stuff would happen and my captain would be like the only thing that survived, or he would flee off the table. And one day we kind of realized, oh, you haven't killed my captain in like ever. And it became this game of cat and mouse, where the game became more for Nathan. It was more about killing my captain than it was about winning the game.
Yeah.
And so I was doing different strategies to try and keep my captain alive, or try and kite him to different parts of the table, because I knew he would come for the captain, even if it was strategically a stupid move.
Yeah.
And I would do things like get him near the edge of the table so he would flee off the table and not die.
Just reading some comments at the moment. Dan again's putting up that we should have a no-holds-barred tournament. That would hurt. Or play some narrative games that are linked somehow. Yeah, narrative games. Making your own lore, I think, is a great part. Which is what you're doing there with the Sorry, guys. I am still recovering from a bit of a chest cold, so I apologise for the coughing. Promise that's the last one until the next one. Yeah. So go on, because I've lost my train of thought. My cough jiggles my brain clearly, and just
as I said, you'll have that kind of thing. You've got I've got Red Guy as my Red Ultramarine, and he has had his adventures throughout various games and things like that, of being shot at by an entire Imperial Guard army and tap dancing through the mortars, and then I've got my Cthulhu Gene Stealer. His head is green and with the yellow eye and the tentacles and stuff. And he has had many valiant last stands. And even dumb stuff like doing car park shenanigans with the land speeder into a piece of terrain because it just happened to have the tiniest sliver of line of sight through to pop a rocket onto something. And as I said, so the lore sort of gives you the basis, and then you play a game, and then that feeds into that sort of pool of lore, and then it comes back around again. And as you say, you get that reciprocal kind of additional sort of payoff really from it. Whereas if you just rock up with your models and roll some dice and don't take any of that into account, I think you lose a lot of flavour from the game, and it really sort of becomes a bit soulless.
Yeah, you need to be getting something else out of it at that point.
Yeah, tournament players. So let's move on to the lore where it is now, and we'll go back to Mark's, the other one, comment that he started on before I smashed it on its head. Do you remember what you were saying?
talking about how they were doing. I can't remember the names for those books. So basically,
Spider-Man
Some
Awakening.
supplements.
that one, where they were trying to use the law to force directions of where they were kind of wanting you to go, and it. What was it? The Battle of Terror was the one that I think that really pissed me off the most, because you could tell they were trying to push the law as hard as they could so that the Imperial forces would win, backfired against them. Where
Oh, the global event.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could tell they had everything prepared, that they wanted the law to end up saying this, and they had to scramble. And then, that Psychic Awakening and the other ones are just coming out. Oh, here's a brand new book. It's got all this fantastic lore in it, but we really want you to do it. And it was forced. I don't think it was necessary. And I really found it to me, it seemed like a desperate scrabble to try and get people to go down, to follow a direction they really would want people to go. And as I said, that was my impression.
Well,
I agree. Not everyone's going to agree with that.
Ultimately, to sell more miniatures, right? So if they're forcing a flavour, they're trying to make you get interested about buying A, B, or C.
For a long time, the official line has been we're a miniatures company, not a game system company.
Yeah.
We want to sell models, But I feel like they've kind of been trying to walk a bit of a tightrope with regards to stuff like that, because for the longest time it was do your own thing, do whatever, but the universe never advanced, and the story was just the story, and it was very static. Whereas they've been trying to put a plot in, but to put a plot in, they need to kind of give us story elements that we don't get a choice in. And that's where you get that, where it runs up against this, people going, I don't want to fucking do that. That's not the story my army is telling. And so it can be very frustrating if the story is compelling your army to do something else.
Or the story or the lore has moved on and it's killed off certain elements of an army.
Cough the squats.
If you look at AOS with Gavin, I can't remember the name now, long day. 4th edition coming out on that is, yes, there's this whole new lore coming out with, in order to fight the Skaven that are coming in. They have to release the Psychos. But they're not saying that you can only use the Psychos. They're well and truly saying the old ones are still valid. Go right ahead, play with them. If you want to go down this line with the lore, do it. But you don't have to. That's the direction I would like to see GW go with 40k. Instead of saying, here's the law, do it.
Yeah.
Go with the AOS version that they seem to have set up, saying you can, you don't have to. Cool if you did, but you don't have to.
That's what I think
I've always felt that. Sorry.
No, we're all going. We're all coming after you, Mark.
Well, I mean, the thing is that 40k, have legends and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff, and this is what kicked me out of my Ultramarines ultimately, was that everything had to go Primaris, and you were getting a really suboptimal rule set for those old miniatures. I mean, yes, you can use them, but there's only so much disadvantage you can sort of take to use.
You can absorb.
I think with the firstborn, secondborn, whatever you want to call them, they've changed that with 10th. Like, they have a place in 10th. I think you will eventually see them gone. Like, they've got rid of half the Eternals, Stormcast, before just recently.
I'm not sure if that's actually a thing they're doing though. Like,
you don't
think they're like, oh yeah, we've gotten rid of the old. A lot of people are saying, oh, you can't use your old Liberators. I'm like, why the fuck not? They're still Liberators. It's a Liberator model.
Yeah, there's Retributors that are being shown in the new box set, and apart from the model looking differently, so far the scuttlebutt is you can use your old ones.
Oh,
they're
so
just
it was
not the Psycho ones.
Oh, okay, and that's all it was. So it was just the model range that was destroyed, not the actual rule set for them, so you could use them.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying, oh, you can't use your old models because they've released new versions of the Stormcast.
Oh no, you can use. Fuck, you can use them.
But did they change the scale or anything like that?
No.
Exactly
no, it's just updated the models.
Code.
They essentially just updated the models.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what people are mad about with the Stormcast.
There's a Sequitur, AOS Stormcast Sequitur, exactly the same size model as the brand new ones that have come out.
Yeah.
Am I disadvantaged for using him? Nope.
Huh.
He's just not going to have. He's not going to have that psycho factor that the new ones are going to have.
Because I could see it being, like using original Terminators as a really good example here. Like the original Terminators are tiny little things.
Yeah, I refuse to play mine.
Are like twice the size, and that can have effects on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Stormcast, the newer models are more streamlined armor. That's really the only visual differences. Retributors still have. Yeah, that's right. The Retributors still have the same big hammer weapon. The Sequitors still have the Soul Style mace or whatever it is. Prosecutors still have their big fiery wings and lightning spears. They're still the same. They look slightly different, and that's just to go with the story. If you don't want to use them, fuck it, don't use them.
And even with the Legends stuff, when huge quantities of Firstborn went to Legends not long ago, there was an article on the Warhammer community that was like, here is the Primaris stuff that you can proxy these as.
True. Yeah.
If you got bikes, count them as Outriders. You
Correct.
got this, count it as this.
Yeah.
And there was this whole article like saying this is what you can use everything as.
And as what Mark was saying about the scale, though, which is fine for casual games, but there might be questions if you went to a tournament just based on scale side of things.
Was it a big difference?
Yeah.
Between the
the
Primaris and the other ones?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, they're noticeably different.
Yeah.
It's not like my 1992 Deathwing Terminators compared to the new Deathwing Terminators kind of scale difference.
I won't put my Terminators on the table because I feel too embarrassed putting these little midget guys who are smaller than the Primaris Marines. Oh no! So they don't get a run.
In the new Dark Angel Codex, right? It doesn't discriminate between Terminator classes. Like, the rules are written such that you can still use the old Inner Circle Knights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's clearly designed for you to keep using the old models. No one fucking would, because the new ones look amazing.
Yes.
But,
But in the meantime, before you bought them, you could still play. Yeah.
If I wanted to show up and use a big swinging deck of, like, fucking 90 old-style bloody Deathwing Terminators, I could.
It'd make a lot of friends.
Yes.
Alright, so where's the lore going now? Like, with the 40k, we've got this big... We had 10th edition. What was the big 10th edition box set? Oh my god. Oh, it was Necrons, wasn't it? No, that was last one.
That was Indomitus.
No, that
Indomitus.
was
This is Tyranids. Oh my god, yeah. The Leviathan is now. Yeah. But is the story moving forward? Oh, we're getting... Well, I mean, we've got new Tyranids based on a new Hive fleet, so they're moving the story forward and that.
Which, to bring back the example of the previous one, where they fucking lent their hand heavily on the scales to get the result they wanted. As I understand, GW were really fucking mad that the Terminator, that the Tyranids won that, but they made the Tyranids win that because that was the result they got.
Yeah.
Which was a great example, because there's been many, many, many examples throughout the last several decades of GW putting their hand on the scales to make the worldwide campaign come out the way they wanted.
Yes. Yes. Well, where are those? Yes. Well, it's been fun times.
I mean, I hesitate to call it progress on the lore, really, because a lot of it really feels like they start a thread and then just sort of leave it. Psychic Awakening.
I thought that was
an example of that.
Yeah.
Where they kind of seem to start on something and then it just sort of ran out of gas almost instantly.
New edition came out and it was forgotten.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it directly connected to everything. Although I suspect that it's probably supposed to connect to the Cicatrix Maledictum, because there was a Psychic Awakening and then the Warp split open. And they never directly correlated the two events, but perhaps we're supposed to connect them.
Yeah.
Sure, I like miniatures.
I like to roll dice occasionally. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, But some of the advancements in the lore has been Gilliman's back. The lion came back. He woke up.
And we've had some of the Chaos ones.
Angron's come
still-
back. They're trying to
I'm still
force
waiting.
Abaddon to become the new Horus in a storyline.
I mean, that's always been the story.
Yeah, I know, but they're actually doing
Abaddon was
something.
Supposed to become. It was always Abaddon will become Horus in the next Crusade, in the
Yeah.
next Black Crusade. That's
Well,
when
that was the big thing. Is that here is the new Crusade, and that sort of petered out as well. Here's the new Necrons dynasties come from beyond. That was for 9th edition, and that just
Yeah, the
petered out.
Silent King.
Yeah, the Silent King. Here's all the new Dynamids that have come out of not hiding, but you know. But what has that done with the actual story itself?
Well,
Wait, fuck all.
Has it done
See, the
anything to
thing
the
with-
game itself? Sorry, not the story.
Yeah.
the thing with the Tyranids is that they have been sort of this gradually descending upon the galaxy kind of threat. So they. It's not they just popped up. It's more of the big swarm is arriving, more so than hey, you know, MacGuffin comes out of random moon type thing, you know. And they've done a reasonable job at not painting themselves into a corner, really, on a lot of it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these progressions are really fluffing about at the edges of things rather than really sort of giving it an oomph.
And
you
I
know?
think they're kind of still stuck in the intro phase of the era Indomitus, because in 8th edition they were like, you know, this is the new lore for what's going on with the Marines and the Chaos Marines.
Yeah.
And then they were like, in the next one they're like, okay, this is the new lore for what's happening with the Necrons. And then in the now they're like, oh, this is the new lore for what's happening with the Tyranids, because you can't just do every single faction at once,
No.
because then several factions get glossed over, and so they're still kind of going through and like, this is the era Indomitus lore for this faction. So we're kind of, I feel like we're stuck in that phase for probably a couple more editions at this point, before they can really engage and move the whole universe forward again,
Yeah.
which is very frustrating because there's threads I want them to fucking do something with, and I can see why they're not, but I fucking want them to.
Well, and see, this is where you know you could potentially decouple the lore from the game a bit and just go, right, this is how we want the story to go, and just go hell for leather on the lore, but not tie like your big box releases to that, you know.
Yeah.
I think their problem is they know that when it's not tied to the releases, it doesn't sell.
Yeah. Correct. But we'll also
The big business
establish
that we will never know the conclusion of this because we'll be dead by the time they get there.
Yeah. But we'll also establish that the actual gameplay is not tied to the lore. New miniatures are, definitely, but it's not going to stop us playing if they don't move the story forward as quickly as want. Well, clearly Michael's frustrated, but still playing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say as I spent the last 6 months painting more BattleTech stuff than I have, you know, painting GW stuff. But that wasn't because of the game. That was because of fucking other hobbies getting in the way.
Yeah.
But actually, it's interesting because from the lore affecting the gameplay, right? A big complaint that Space Marine players have had for the entirety of existence, ever since God was a boy, is Space Marines are not fucking powerful enough. You know, you read the books, and the Space Marine is like tanking anti-tank shots with his nutsack, and then you play the game, and some grot stabs you Space Marine with a knife, and he dies. Right? And so people always have been really mad about that.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you look at the game, most editions of the game have been balanced around a Space Marine is average.
Yes.
Instead of a human is average. And that's really annoying because that's really unhinged from the lore. But
Is it?
there was an
Because
interesting one. Yeah.
I almost thought they went with humans being the baseline.
No,
They
no.
are in terms of what the stats are, but in terms of the balancing of every army,
The
Space
Marine is
Marines
it.
are the
Yeah,
average.
the yardstick is the Marine. Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually a really cool thing back in the 90s in one of the White Dwarves. They released a set of rules called the Movie Marine rules. You may have heard Nathan bring it up. And Movie Marines was they wrote a special version of the Marine Codex that was, this is how Marines play like in the books.
Oh, wow.
So they played like fucking Arnie from Commando.
Oh,
like,
just
you know,
watched that.
you played like a 2,000 point game and you got 10 Marines. And like the heavy bolter, like the bolt guns fired like, you know, auto cannons, shit like that, and
Yeah.
they had like multiple wounds, and they took their saves on 2 dice. Like it was very silly and hilarious.
Everything exploded, whether it was touched or if it was a tree or whatever. It still exploded.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was really funny. For this is what it would be like if the Marines in the game played like they do in the lore.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking, dedicated custodians. If you only get 10 Marines for 2,000 points, you get 1 custody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just his bike. It's parked on the side.
And he just does that like the finger flick thing that
Just flicks people.
fills the army.
So you mentioned the books. Where do the books fit in the lore and stuff like that? Current books. I mean, we've got the Heresy books. That's lore that's already been established. We know how it ends. Sorry, spoiler alert. We've got other Siege of Terror, which is, again, it's a historical story. Remember, it's all made up anyway. Are there any books at the moment that's pushing the story forward?
Well, you did have the series of books that came out with Bobby G coming through, where it followed the Indomitus Crusade and some of that stuff, which was pretty interesting, and I'd kind of like them to continue that. But yeah, you know, see previous rant.
Which one? We've had so many.
We would never rate this show.
But yeah, because it's what Godblight was the last one that I got for that, essentially you sort of had. I mean, yeah, it's hard to kind of talk about it without spoiling stuff, because it is a really good book.
Yeah, like I've been reading the listening to the audiobooks of the Dawn of Fire series, and that is following the Crusades as they go out, and it actually has a lot of really interesting stuff about the Primaris and about how their integration into the chapters and how they were accepted and how the Space Wolves are fuckwits and the Black Templars are morons. But there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there about the background lore of the new generations of Marines and the interactions within the Imperium of the different groups, like how the Custodies kind of want to assassinate Robert Killerman. That's a really interesting one that comes up in the books.
Fair enough.
Because they don't trust him, because they don't trust Primarchs, because they were there the last time.
Ah, good point. Yeah.
So yeah, the leaders of the Custodies keep trying to figure out whether or not they should kill him.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting the way it expands all this stuff that's not remotely fucking touched on in the codexes in the game.
So each codex has a lore part to it, the fluff part. How often do they actually move forward? Like they might pick up... Yeah, they don't move forward very often, do they? So it feels like the same sort of story that I read in the previous codex, which I read in the previous codex.
Yeah, the Dark Angel one was especially weird because they clearly left in old lore that the codex itself contradicted. Like, you know, the codex still says Deathwing are Terminated. Like in the little lore section, it talks about how they field the entire Deathwing as a Terminator formation. And then in that codex, the rules say Blade Guard and Stern Guard are members of the Deathwing. So it's like literally the codex itself contradicts its own lore on the tabletop, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah,
because it just felt like they hadn't. It felt like they hadn't proofread it properly.
Yeah, I know. Especially when they bring out the new rule books and stuff like that. It's look at how many half the book is without fluff. I'm going. I don't care. But that's a me thing. Just want to point that out. That's a me thing. All I want is the rules to know how to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really enjoy when they do have new fluff in them. Like, there was some really cool fluff involving the lion in the new Dark Angel Codex.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of it's really fucking slow. Like, I think after 8th edition, when the Primaris came out, it took until like halfway through 9th edition, was it this like the second Space Marine Codex, where they actually changed the Codex Astartes Force Organization chart to tell you where Primaris fit in that.
Yeah.
They didn't actually change that when Primaris were introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They did it like an edition later.
You can't rush
yeah,
these
a
things.
lot of the time, all they did was they have that timeline at the start of the codex, and they just added a few paragraphs on the end of each one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and yet you wound up with diagrams and stuff from 2 or 3 editions ago.
Good. I hadn't missed out anything there. Good.
I'm thinking, no, not missing too much then.
No. That means I am up to date with the law. Yeah, because I read a book 14 years ago.
It is very confusing though, because when they do add new stuff in there, it's often a paragraph in the middle of these 8 pages of the same stuff, but there's a paragraph in the middle that's new.
Fair enough.
That's where I found that in the middle of the fucking. This is all the same stuff about the Force Org charts, and then in the middle, it's like,
And you'll be
battle line is
skimming it because you've read it 50 times, because we all read the codexes, and then you'll be like, hang on a sec, back up a bit. Oh yeah, okay.
Wait a minute. It's like, oh, they changed the law to say, this is the type of, tactical squads, this unit counts as a tactical squad for the Force Org, and this unit counts as an assault squad for the Force Org. And Gilliman changed it so that the Force Org chart allows for them to double the size of a normal battle company if in special circumstances they choose to, because of Primaris reinforcements. So, like, there's weird little throwaway lines that massively change things.
Fair enough. And AOS. I know we're a 40k podcast, but we do have an AOS person here. They're about to blow up the world for 4th edition. They've also already blown up the world to make AOS.
Twice.
Yeah. So how... That's got to have some lore impact on the game.
I won't comment too deeply because obviously I haven't seen the new lore coming out. From what I know it's the biggest impact on the lore is now the Rat God is the Horned Rat is now a recognised god of chaos.
Yeah. About
Which
time.
is
I
gonna
thought
have...
he was in 1st edition.
No, has always been just hanging out to the side with the other one saying, no, you're not cool enough to join us. He's now been granted enough power through whatever means to do it, which is then what's given them the ability to get through the walls and attack some more of Sigmar's the special cities.
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest, because I mean, that kind of thing has implications for Gork and Mork. And
They're left outside now.
You can't mess with the orcs.
I was going to say they're orcs. They make up their own rules as they go along.
They've made their own club.
AOS does have its own weird lore for Gork and Mork.
Yes.
Like the fact that Gork and Mork are a single god called Gorka Morka who split in half to fight himself.
Yes. That's how much they love fighting.
That's perfectly orky. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Animosity between himself.
And who used to be allied to Sigmar
Yeah.
for funsies.
That's right. Yep.
Because punching chaos fun.
Yeah.
Punching chaos.
Hey,
so
you go where the best fights are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so it was that promotion of the Horned Rat, which is the reason why Sigmar's had to release the Psycho cast.
Yeah, okay.
So yes, it does have massive ramifications on the lore, but whether it's going to force the lore to be the playable version of the game, I don't think it will.
Yeah.
It's still got the abilities to play those old Sequitors, Liberators, Recrutors, all of them.
Dust off your Skaven. Yeah.
Yeah. But having said that, I haven't read it all deeply yet because I haven't got my hands on it, so I'll just have to hold that in reservation and just hope that they will continue to do it differently with AOS than they have done with 40k and not use it as the driving factor. I can hope.
But it's definitely driving factor by more Stormcast and more Skaven. That
Yeah,
Skaven Lord, oh my god, that made me go, oh, maybe I need a Skaven army.
But I'm
Again.
going to say this: just the sheer fact that Skaven have been updated, people are salivating at the
God.
fact that there's brand new rat plastic. So yeah,
Yeah, I've still got the old clan rats, the very
Yeah.
mono pose.
The single pose.
Yeah.
And you had
Mind you-
10,000 of them.
yeah. Looking at some of those psycho cast, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I might be persuaded to go down that with my ghosties because some of them look friggin' amazing.
Alright, we have been yammering on for a while. We should probably wrap it up. The law? Who's the law?
I am the law.
There we go. But we keep our helmet on. Yeah. They need a sequel for that movie.
One day.
One day. Yeah. Anyway, the law. Does it affect the gameplay itself? Only if you really want to. If you want to use it as a fluff to build your army. Does it affect how you roll the dice? I wish it did. It might roll better. But no, it doesn't.
Unless you're Eldar.
Clippy cloppy.
I
Don't
don't
forget
think
them.
Eldar aren't even that good in the book. Come on. They're better on the table than they are in the books.
Eldar get punked a lot in the books.
I know. So this is there to make up for it. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Here it is.
Oh my god. So I think that's also why I need to go. Before I die in front of you. It's going to be good. Okay, so where are we going to go with that? The law. Tell us about the law, Mark. Short version. Mark, if I point, it's not going to help, is it?
That's other Mark.
That's the other Mark.
Original Mark. I'll
Safe
be
work, Mark.
free.
Quick comment on the law for you.
It's great. Love it. Really helps with the motivation for the game.
The other Mark?
Use it if you want it. Don't feel driven by it.
Michael?
Yeah, like, use as much as you want, or don't use as much as you want, you know? Make an all-female Space Marine army if you want. Fuck people who dislike it. Just,
Oh my God.
It's for funsies.
Yeah.
Hang on. All female storm. That sounds like Stormcast. We've got those already.
And if
Yeah.
you want to get super cardigan-y about it, Rogue Trader had female Marines.
I know.
They did.
They did. Anyway, let's not go down that way because we were going to try and sign off, not start a new rage.
As I said once more, we're going to say it again. The most popular figurine for Stormcast was a female commander.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of that.
Yeah. Law is what you want it to make it to be, and how you use it, it's up to you. But, yeah, the other part, as we've just highlighted, you can't dictate law to other people. If they want to play that way, they get to play that way. Simple as that.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Yep. Alright folks, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for everyone who joined us tonight and had their rant and rave on the chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to all of them. Basically ignored anyone talking about Eldar. Sorry, dead again. We love Eldar. It's fine. Safe work, Mark. Say goodnight. Oh, don't say goodnight. Tell us about the socials.
it's gonna
They're all
confuse.
RLG 40k.
If you are watching through YouTube, please hit that like and even that subscribe button. That'd be wonderful. We are delving into the world of YouTube, so any of those clicks will help us become more popular than my son's YouTube channel. So, yeah, small things in life, right?
Gotta meet the kids. To any of my students that are watching, go to fucking bed, you stupid dicks. We've got a test tomorrow.
That's one way to sign off. I will just sign off by I hopefully won't be coughing on your ear next month. But, yeah, no promises. Until then, so social media, Instagram, you've got one of those. It's not safe work.
Yeah, it is monolithic stuff. I probably should get around to updating with some photos that are probably better quality than what I put up for the stream today.
You should probably make it more popular. Yeah, come on. Red Belly Black is my Instagram. You can find me there. You can also join me at Tuesday, Thursday nights for Hobby Night. We'll paint stuff and chat. about the law, and I'll tell you how wrong you are. Salamanders are the best Marines.
How about Underworld?
That's Wednesday night, aren't we? We're doing that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends if you're still sick or not.
This is not sick. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the 3 packs of cigarettes I smoke a day, clearly.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Don't do it, folks. I don't. But yeah. Alright, ready, Mike? Just shut me up and sign us off. Oh, good night, Michael! Good night, Mark!
Good night.
So, are you the law? Whether you slavishly follow the codex or make up your own special soldiers, it can really add some flavour to the game. But even if you can't decide what to paint your plastic soldiers, you can always join us next month for more wobbly player syndrome.